probably later this afternoon or first thing in the morning. It should arrive in your email box so that you can pass that on. So let's talk a little bit today about banquets. I get the privilege to serve pregnancy centers in the spring and the fall, which is when most banquets occur. There's some in the summertime, but probably about 30 to 40 banquets a year I get to speak at. I enjoy it a lot. I really enjoy it if I've had the opportunity with the staff to think through all the pieces that will make for an effective banquet and maybe a better word, fruitful banquet. None of us like to plan for months and invite people, and maybe should I even say beg people sometimes to show up for a banquet and it not go well for a lot of different reasons. And so we're going to talk through what I kind of have landed on as kind of the 10 things that you really need to consider when it comes to planning your banquet. At first glance, most of these you're probably going to go, oh yeah, that's as obvious. But maybe some of the details, hopefully I'll get you to think maybe just a little bit differently on some of these details so that you can have the best banquet that you've ever had. And a lot of the, again, pregnancy centers I've had the privilege to go and speak have seen dramatic increases from previous year's banquets. And I don't think that's all because of me, by the way, but I do think it's because of some things that we talk about leading up to the banquet and even after the banquet. So a lot of great speakers out there that do pregnancy center banquets. A lot of them are my friends. I love them. I think I am different in a couple of ways. One, I like to have conversations almost every other week, as many months out as you secure me to come to your banquet, so that we're talking about things leading up to it. I want to help. I want to be a part of that process. I don't, number two, I don't like to just show up 2 hours before the banquet, or in some cases, I've heard of speakers walking in 5 minutes after the banquet starts and, and speaking when it's their time. And then as soon as they're done speaking, out the door they go. That's not me. I believe in what you all do. And I want to support you in any way I can. The other thing, I guess this is number three, that I think makes me a little bit different, and some of you know this, I am an executive director of a nonprofit myself, not on the payroll for that nonprofit, but it's been running for 30 years. We have 4 full-time staff on our stateside team, and probably about 10 families who are missionaries in the Dominican Republic, where we serve. We serve on the northern coast of the Dominican Republic, and our job is to keep young children from entering a lifestyle of human trafficking. The Dominican Republic is number 4, 5, 6, depending on which report you want to believe, in the world for human trafficking. And so we are down there trying to reach those young kids and provide a life skill so that they aren't lured into human trafficking. So that's just a little bit about me. And so you'll know my passion for ministry and passion for nonprofits. And I speak from experience because I run a nonprofit myself. So how does that apply to us for banquets? Well, let's talk about it. What's the first thing to consider to have an effective banquet? I think the first thing is watching the clock. Watching the clock. I think the best, and this, by the way, a lot of these things are personal opinion just after 11 years of doing banquets and fundraising, and somebody else may give you a different opinion, and that's okay. They have the right to be wrong. I'm just kidding. They have the right to be different, but based on what I've seen over the years, I'm just kind of giving you what I would suggest are best practices. And when it comes to the length of a banquet, if you're more than 2 hours, I've heard this said, I'm not sure who said this or how they measured it, but every minute over 2 hours, you lose $1,000 a minute. Now, I'm not sure who said that or how they came up with that statistic, but I do believe it's true because I have watched when the timeline has gotten changed either by a pastor who is supposed to pray, and 10 minutes after he came up to pray, he still hasn't prayed yet, but he's still talking. Things like that extended the night. And I have watched, as I've been actually speaking, and we've hit the 2-hour mark, and I can see people begin to start fidgeting. And a lot of those are younger people, younger families, and we desperately need the younger generation to get on board with our pregnancy center and our mission. But they're looking at their watch because they're wondering, has the babysitter killed the children or has the children killed the babysitter? So after about 2 hours, or right at 2 hours, I think that is plenty length. And so thinking through your agenda, are you going to have a prayer? Are you going to have obviously a report from the director, a report from the pregnancy center, a client testimony, and then time for your speaker, your special guest, your local person, whoever you have to do the ask, and enough time at the end to also allow for an appeal. And I would add time for people to sit and contemplate what it is that God is asking them to do. So I have oftentimes felt rushed at the end to do the appeal, and I've seen people quickly fill out their information and hand it to their table host and head out the door, again, because most likely some of those have babysitters, or some of them maybe work a third shift job. So just really strategically thinking through your agenda for the night and trying to pack it all into 2 hours. I'm also a fan of banquets being banquets, and again, personal opinion, not tacking on anything else to it, whether it's a silent auction or something at the beginning or the end. The night just gets really long unless you can be very creative and effectively pull that off. So about 2 hours. And usually I allow or suggest allowing about 20 to 22 minutes for eating. Again, depending on how you serve, if it's buffet, if it's plated, if you have servers bringing the food out, you want to get with your caterer and try to make that happen as quickly as possible. Again, been a part of some banquets where just serving the food took 30 minutes. I suggested to that director at the end of the night, find a new caterer, because it shouldn't take that long. Well, they can't do that. This is the way they do it. I'm like, who's writing the check? Who's paying the caterer? You are. And this is your event, and it's a fundraising event for you. So, so watch the clock, and we'll come back to some of these at the end if you've got questions in more details. The second one would be this: tell the story. And this is a critical point, not just for banquets, but I would say to you as a pregnancy center year-round, telling your story. We don't, by we, I mean, generally speaking in the nonprofit world, we don't do very well at telling our story. At banquets or in newsletters or website, we tend to rapid fire a lot of bullet points of what we do. We gave out this many diapers. We did this. We had this many people in the fatherhood class. We had this many girls come out for pregnancy center tests. Most of those, what we would call statistics, and those are important. But for most people that are coming to a banquet, that kind of rapid fire reporting it goes over their head. So I would suggest picking one story of impact and telling that story, or having the client, if she is willing, or he, part of the fatherhood program, if he's willing. And again, capturing that on video is great, because you know how long it's going to be. If it's a 3-minute video, it's a 3-minute video. If it's the person who's going to come up on stage in person and share, and you say you've got 3 minutes and they go 5, 6, or 7 minutes, you can't control that. If you do video with the testimony, you can always, as the testimony ends and fades out and you step back up, or whoever steps up, say, hey, you just saw Jenny on the screen. Jenny's here tonight. Jenny, would you stand? And everybody can give them a round of applause. But telling your story is so critical. I use this phrase a lot, and pregnancy center directors seem to like it, because I think it is true. We need as much inspiration as we do information. And a lot of times during our banquets, it's a lot of information, what we did, how many, baby bottles we collected, how many diapers we handed out. It's information, but I need to share with you, and you know this to be true, inspiration is what helps people give money. They're inspired. So think about how to creatively tell the story. And you can tell that in a number of ways, not just by what's happening on the platform. You can tell it by how you decorate. You can tell the story. You tell the story by how people come into the banquet hall. There are a lot of ways for you to reinforce that story to your donors and partners. All right, and we'll come back to these and kind of talk through them and let you ask some questions. Number 3, I love this one. Think about men. Think about men. We oftentimes in our planning think about the ladies, but we don't think about the men. Now, I am probably a little bit different than most guys in what I'm about to tell you, but I have actually asked men at several banquets that I've done, and they have confirmed that I am a little bit different. Surprise. If you have music or someone leading worship at your banquet or your gala, most men are not a fan of that. I'm a little bit different. I love music by nature, and I'm a musician myself. But as you're thinking about, again, back to decorations, back to what happens on the stage, think about the men. Um, again, I don't know who came up with this statistic, but if you can engage the man at the table, you're more likely to have a higher uh, dollar amount on that check when it is written than if the man is not engaged. So the woman decides, uh, yes, we're giving, but the man will have a lot of input about how much. So think about how to engage men. Think about it from the food standpoint, the food that you have. Again, I'm a little different. I like frou-frou food. I like all kinds of food. But to get some of the men at your banquet, I just did a banquet last fall in North Carolina. They had barbecue. All I heard the guys talking about was how good the barbecue was throughout the night, and they had some significant giving. The year before was a little more. I don't remember what it was, but I couldn't even determine by looking at the plate. So just think about how to engage men, and especially the younger men, because we need the younger and younger families and couples to engage in the pregnancy center. All right. The next one, and I just kind of went into that one, was thinking about the food. You control the food. You're paying the caterer. They need to do what you want when you want. If they're late on the food or they're saying, "Hey, we can't serve this yet because this is not whatever," you just need to remind them, "Hey, we write the check." You also don't want them cleaning up and rattling dishes right when the speaker is wrapping up and getting to the appeal and wants people to make a decision to give, and then they're going around picking up plates and clatter is going on. So think about your food. Think about how to serve it. Um, One way to speed up the night is already having the salad and the cups on the table, and maybe even dessert on the table. If you don't want to put all that on the table, there's not room. You could have a dessert bar where they could, when they're finished at their own uh, opportunity, when they're through with their meal, they could walk over to that dessert table, pick up their dessert, and come back and sit down. So just think through all the specifics that can help you. I'm not saying to rush the evening, but I'm saying help it move along so that people at the end, you want people going, "Oh my goodness, is this over? This can't be over. I want to hang out a little bit more," instead of, "Oh my goodness, I'm so glad this is finally done. I'm ready to go home." You want them craving and wanting more. Here's another one. Think about decorations. What do I mean by that? A lot of things about decorations. The first thing I'd say is whatever you have on your centerpiece, make sure it may be beautiful, but make sure it's not distracting. So I spoke at a banquet one time, and they had these huge centerpieces. They were almost like trees. And so every time I would walk back and forth across the stage, because I like to move around and I was speaking, I would see the heads of the crowd bob to the right and bob to the left, bob to the right, to the left, because they were trying to look around this centerpiece that was on the table. And so I finally looked at them and said, "Would somebody at each table be kind enough to take the centerpiece and nicely sit it in the floor beside you?" And they did, and the rest of the night was much better. So think about that from how you see the stage standpoint, where you put decorations, obstructing people's view. You don't want to do that. Also, think about how you could use your decorations to reinforce your theme, to reinforce your story. One of the pregnancy centers I thought was wonderful. They had taken the sonogram, the ultrasound of a photo of all the babies that they had saved, God had saved through their ministry over the last year, and put those in frames, and that was the centerpiece at each table. And so when they're talking about life, and I'm talking about life and supporting life when I get on the platform, they're seeing that right there at the centerpiece of the table. So think about how you can, even in your decorations, reinforce the story of your center, what you're about, and what you're doing. Every single facet of the night should point people back to the story and who you are and why you do what you do. So if there's anything that really you look at and it doesn't make sense, then go, okay, how can we change this so it reinforces who we are? Decorations are really, really important. Number 6, I would suggest limiting personalities, and here's a couple thoughts on that. The fewer personalities that you have, the shorter your evening is going to be. The fewer personalities you have, and I'm talking about live and in person. If you have them on video, then you're going to be able to control your timeline. But the more personalities you have, if they're in person and not on video, the higher likelihood you have of messing up your timeline and going longer. If you give, you need to usually add 10% to what you tell people. So if you tell somebody, hey, you have 10 minutes, then they're going to at least take 11. And if every person that you have on the platform takes an extra minute or two, and you have 5 or 6, well, you've got 12, 13, 14, 15 minutes added to the program. That's got to come from somewhere if you're going to finish on time. And um, normally and unfortunately, it usually comes from the speaker, especially if I'm the one speaking, because I want to honor the people who have come there. And when I see them start to fidget and look at their watch, then I know it's time to wind up. So if you can think about the personalities, it's great to have people that you can recognize if they're important. I don't know that I would give them stage time. I was with a pregnancy center in Texas, and the local senator or representative from the House of Representatives was there, and he comes in, and one of their staff said, I think we need to let him at least say something because he's here tonight. And I was just like, no, 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 no. This is not about him. This is not a political event. You can recognize him and say you're grateful that he's here tonight, but they wound up letting him on the platform. And again, the 2 minutes he was going to take turned into 10 minutes, and he talked about a political issue, and you know, derailed the program. So I would really consider limiting the personalities that you have on the platform. Number 7, this is a biggie, your donation card. If your donation card looks like a contract and it's really, really long, that's not good. Likewise, if it's really, really uh, short but doesn't have all the blanks that you need filled out to acquire the information that you need, that's not good either. So it does need to be simple, concise, but also thorough. Um, I was at a pregnancy center event in Alabama one time, and they had 3, I said that right, 3 different donation forms for each person. One was a pink form. If you're going to give by credit card, fill out the pink one. If you're going to give by a check, fill out the yellow one. If you're also going to be a monthly partner, fill out the gold one, whatever it was. And I just thought, oh my goodness, I've got to walk them through that. That's going to eat up time. They've got to fill out 3. You don't need 3. You need 1. You can ask them, and I've got some that I can send you if you need some to look at. But make it simple. You obviously want to try to get their email address. And when I'm walking them through, and I usually do walk them through filling out that card when I'm speaking for pregnancy center banquets, I will say, and I'll joke around with them. I'll say, okay, the first blank at the top right there, your name, your name. If you don't know who you are, ask your neighbor, and they'll chuckle. They'll fill out their name. And I'll say, okay, put your address. If you don't know where you live, ask your wife, ask your spouse. And we walk through that card, and I'll say email address. Most of you have an email address. We're not going to bombard you with email, but understand if you give us that email address, you are going to save the pregnancy center a lot of money in postage and letters and envelopes. And postage continues to go up, and most of the time doesn't get to its destination, unfortunately. So I will ask them for email addresses and phone numbers, their cell phone number, and then we'll walk through filling out the form. I like to give everyone the option to give twice. I will normally say, what could you give tonight, right now? What's God laid on your heart to give right now? My gift tonight is, and there's a blank. And then I'll say, you know what? The backbone, the lifeblood of this pregnancy center are monthly partners that we can count on that will stand with us every single month. So what will you commit to give monthly? Monthly. And I will challenge it with different things. And some of those figures come from spending time again with you or the pregnancy center team um, during the day before the banquet. We had at another banquet in Texas last fall. They had seen. They were 20 years old, and they had just recorded seeing their 8,354th client, I believe it was, in 20 years. And so there were about 700 people at their banquet. And so I asked one person at each table. Now this is oil country, okay? The number one rule of communication is to know your audience. So this might not work at your particular center in your particular town, but this was oil country. And so I asked one person at each table in honor of those 8,354 clients, whatever the number was, to give a gift of $8,354. One person at each table. And there was one person at each table that gave that amount when the night was out. So we have to make it clear on that donation card. And again, inspiration and information, but simple, and give them the opportunity to put their credit card number in there, of course, and all that other information. So important. Number eight, having greeters. These are people. These are different than table hosts, although table hosts are very important as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But these are people that their main mission, they are strategically placed at the entry points to greet people with a smile, or at the check-in table to welcome them, or in the parking lot, if you're at a big venue, to direct them to the right door and just greet them with a smile and love on them. I have seen at several banquets greeters change the atmosphere and the attitude, thankfully for the good, of many people who are coming into the banquet hall who are worn out from the day, or they just are coming in from road rage, or they're just all tightened up, almost with an attitude they really want to be there, but at that moment they really don't want to be there. And that greeter walks out, oh my goodness, so honored that you would come be with us tonight. Welcome, welcome. And their whole countenance change. So they really are the first impression of how the night's going to be. So if you don't have anybody who, the saying is you only get one shot to make a first impression. If you don't have anybody who's doing that, then it's going to be a strike against you. If you have someone there who doesn't do a good job, it could be a strike against you. So find some people who that's their only job. And there's a lot of people that would love to do that, who maybe don't feel comfortable being a table host or serving in other capacity, but they're, wow, they're just friendly. I could say hey to people. Great. That's your role tonight. Your single focus is to love people, make them feel welcome, and let them know we're excited that they're here. So deputize them to represent the pregnancy center and to be one of your greeters. The other group, of course, is table host, and they are also critically important. And I would recommend for you to have an effective banquet, strategically meeting with those table hosts, either like we're doing today through video, are in person, maybe having just a finger food at the pregnancy center, a month before, and just saying, hey, how's it going? Love on them and thank them. Again, your table host, to the degree that they're effective, is to the degree that the night will be effective. And so you want them on the same page. You want to explain to them their purpose is so very, very important to making the night successful. Now, uh, again, I do this. I don't know if every speaker does this, but when I meet with pregnancy centers and I'm coming to speak for a banquet, I will usually ask the director to ask the table host to come a little bit early. And usually we'll find a side room somewhere, and I will meet with them, and I will brag on them, and I will love them, and I will tell them how important they are to the night. And I will walk them through some instructions of how I would like for them to, when I give them the cue, to pull out the envelope, not when people come in and they sit down, go ahead and give them their donation form. That has happened on a lot of banquets where they're already filling out the form and the night hasn't even started yet. They're already filling out the donation card. You don't want that. But I will give them instructions, and I will say to them, I will give you a good cue. I will say, table host, please pull out the envelopes and pass them around to each person at your table. And so it's just a time before the banquet for me to spend with them. And usually I will bring my latest book, and I will give to those table hosts as a gift from me through your pregnancy center to say thank you for their time and effort, because if they do their job and do it well, it's very, very important. So that's an important group of people is table host. All right, and the last one, number 10, you need someone who can ask for money. Someone who can ask for money. If you can do that, great. Most pregnancy centers will bring in somebody from the outside because it's easier to have someone from the outside brag about you than for you to brag about you. We have mentioned to you that we have a nonprofit. I have a nonprofit, and we do some fundraising. We don't do a banquet every year. We did one 2 years ago. Last year was our 30-year anniversary, but we brought in someone to speak on our behalf, just because it's better to have someone brag on you than brag on yourself. But find someone who is effective at asking people for money. And don't be afraid to spend some money on getting that person. And I'm not saying that because that's what I do. I do think there should be a wise limit to what you pay somebody. I have heard of pregnancy centers spending, and I could name some names and you would know these people, $25, $30, $40, $50,000 to bring in a speaker. And the speaker had notoriety, and the speaker was well known, and the speaker drew a crowd. But at the end of the night, when the speaker was ready to finish up his or her talk, they were not able to ask for money from the crowd in an effective way. They either dropped the ball or they wound up calling back up the director and passing the baton to her. And just a quick personal thought about that. I'm all for bringing in people of notoriety, but I also think it's just like church work. A pastor friend of mine used to tell me, and he used to say, what you catch fish with is what you will have to keep catching fish with. So if you do a banquet and you spend $50,000 to bring in whoever the person is, then your people who come are going to start expecting that every year. And I like to remind pregnancy centers directors, because you guys and gals are my heroes, that the night is about you. It's not about the personality. Now, again, bring in somebody who's effective at asking for money. And you do want to bring in somebody that people will like and enjoy. But I think there is a balance, and a lot of pregnancy centers spend $20,000 or $30,000 more than what they need to. So that particular center in Texas that I'm referring to, who spent that amount of money, I think they would have had the same result in their banquet fundraising had they spent $5,000 on a speaker. Now, the crowd may have been smaller, but a smaller crowd does not mean less money, and a bigger crowd does not mean more money. It's the right crowd that you want at the banquet, the right people, the people that God wants to be there to to fund your ministry. So let's pause there. And I know Judy is here, and Lataviana, or Miss Ottaviana. I know that you have joined us before, so thank you. So I'm going to hit the unmute, or if you want to hit your unmute, if you want to turn on your camera there, Ottaviana, you can, and join us. Any questions that you either of you have for me that I can answer?
Jack, we're doing more of a virtual banquet. And so we were hoping to get some tips more about a virtual because of the situation for COVID, it's hard to plan. We've already made that switch of not having an in-person banquet.
Okay,
And
good.
so we just need to, Judy's on the team and she's working with table hosts.
Okay,
And so
wonderful.
we're looking more at the steps that it would take to move and have an effectual virtual banquet.
Great. Okay, when was your banquet originally scheduled for?
It is always it was scheduled for the fall, and we're going to keep the date of
Okay.
September, late September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's kind of where we're at as far as the virtual components, because we've used a lot of the steps that you had for the in-person banquet, and
Okay.
it's been effective, but we're kind of transitioning over to not want to lose
Right.
people, and they won't sit for 2 hours.
No. Well, and the virtual banquet is a little bit different. So let's kind of talk about that a little
Okay.
bit. I know that I've done a lot of virtual events in the last 8 or 9 weeks. I feel like I'm not really a real person anymore. I'm just on a computer screen. I'm just digital. But they have all been successful, which is good. In fact, about 4 weeks ago, just to let you know, we created. Was it 4 weeks? Let's see, it's June, maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago now. We created for our nonprofit, just with about a week's notice, an online live stream event, fundraising event, and it was probably about 42 minutes long, with everything, which may or may be too long or too short. Probably not too long, or excuse me, probably not too short for pregnancy center work. But we had a lot of different things in there. We had some comedy because our founder, lead missionary, is a comedian. And we would roll back and forth into saying, hey, if you want to get involved tonight, here's the phone number. We had a phone number with a call center, as well as the website. Even though people were watching virtually, some of our older folks, we felt like, still would be more comfortable, even while they were watching, picking up the phone and calling. And so we had the phones and the internet going at the same time. And we wound up raising, now the dust is still not settled. That's the interesting thing about a virtual fundraiser. That video is out there and has been shared and shared and shared. And so they were telling me on Monday of this week that we just crossed over the $50,000 mark from people who had given as a result of that. And I don't know. We thought that was great for us. We're not so much in the lives of people every day like you are as a pregnancy center, because our work is in the Dominican Republic. But we promoted it in a couple of ways. We promoted it through our social media, primarily through our Facebook page, because we have a 3,000 plus people on our Facebook, and then through email. So let me stop for just a second and encourage you, because you're talking September. You're still several months out, really 3.5 months out. If you don't have a good social media presence, then start building one, because you still have time for your partners. I know most pregnancy centers connect with their partners on Facebook and their clients on Instagram, typically right now. Now, next year, or in 6 months, it may be different. I know clients are getting, the young girls and guys are getting into TikTok and hip hop and Juby Jew and all these new things that are developing all the time. but primarily Instagram for the client and Facebook for your partner. So I would start doing things in social media if you're not, and I'm happy to help you think through that maybe later. But
Can I
doing
ask a question? Do you have a
sure.
link? Do you have a link for the 42-minute video that you did run when you say, it's out there on the web? Is it something we can watch?
Yeah, I'll send you that link.
Will you?
Uh,
Okay.
it's on YouTube. If you just Google, go to youtube.com and in the search bar put crossover cups mission. It should take you to it, but I'll send you the link as
Okay.
well. Um, but start building that social media presence so that you can
Yeah.
promote, because I would say to us, um, we've learned a lot through this pandemic and virus. And what we've learned, and some other pregnancy centers are taking me up on this, is uh, we can now that we know that we can do this, we can do live stream and virtual fundraising from now on.
Yes.
Why have we not been doing this in the past? We kind of were forced to do it because of what's happening. And so we actually have another event coming up Sunday night. If you actually wanted to watch that one, it'll be
Yeah.
live Sunday night.
Yeah, I do.
And
And are
and
you doing it live just through Facebook?
well, we are going to do it through Facebook and YouTube, and people can go to the website and watch as well. And that brings me to I guess to another nugget about that. We can kind of talk about, there are some advantages. Let's kind of talk about that for a second, of doing the virtual fundraising. And some of them are, people can watch from home. It doesn't take as much time out of their schedule. They don't have to get in the car, drive to the venue, eat a meal, watch the program, drive back home. It doesn't cost as much for them or for you as a pregnancy center. Um, for some of the centers I get to serve, when you take the cost of food and a venue off of out of the equation, you're talking $30,000, $35,000 for some of these pregnancy centers. Um, and so it's like, wow, if we didn't have to spend that and we still made the same amount of money, oh my goodness. We didn't have to subtract that expense out. So I think the other thing too is the focus can be on the ministry. And then it is a little bit simpler because everything is digital. So those are some things that are kind of the advantages, the things I would suggest that you include. Let's talk about that, because to your point, you don't want a 2-hour virtual fundraiser because they won't sit there that long. I think for pregnancy centers, what I'm recommending is 28 to 30 minutes, and you could even promote it that way to your partners.
Yeah.
Spend 30 minutes with us on whatever the night is.
10:30.
Uh, and of all the bad news that you're seeing in the world, tune in for 30 minutes of good
Great.
news.
Okay.
So there's a lot of ways that you can kind of phrase that with your verbiage, but some things to include again is the information and the inspiration, a strong testimony. And usually in that kind of a half-hour setting, if you had a testimony that's 3 to 4 minutes, that's probably good. A word or report from the director, it's probably, again, 4 to 5 minutes. You could start with a quick prayer from a staff or a pastor or somebody like that as well, that a minute or two. And then the appeal really is going to be the bulk of your half hour, and I'm thinking 16 to 18 minutes.
That's too.
And then of course the appeal at the end. Now, a couple of thoughts for you on this. There are a couple of different ways to execute the virtual fundraiser. One is, uh, um, well, let me give you the ends of the spectrum, and then I'll tell you where I fall. One is you do everything pre-recorded. So a lot of you, maybe your churches are doing a lot of this right now. It's live streamed at a certain time, but all of it was pre-recorded earlier in the week. So the prayer, the church that I go to, um, we all record it during the week. So somebody does a prayer, and then, hey, you do the announcements wherever you want to do them, at your house or whatever, and email the video, and it's all put together, pre-produced, and so it's really a pre-produced video that just runs at a certain time. So that's one way to do it. The advantages of doing it that way is it's already done. It's already in the bag, so to speak. It's already in the hopper, and at X time at 7 o'clock on that night or whatever, somebody's just got to hit play or send it out through the live stream. We'll talk about the technical aspects of that in a second, but that's one way to do it. The other way is that you actually do everything live. That you're in front of a camera, or you find a room with, and you put up a backdrop like you see behind me right here, and you have people, just like on the stage or the platform at the venue. You walk back and forth, and you do it live. For the pregnancy center world, and you'll see this when you watch the ones that we've done over the last week, and the one coming up Sunday. We fall in the middle. So we pre-produce a lot of that, a lot of the testimonies and a lot of the things like that that I've just mentioned. But then I am actually come on live at the end. And you'll see it on one that's pre-recorded, the link that I'll send to you, and you'll see it happen live Sunday night if you watch. After all the videos are in, I'm actually interacting with some of the pre-recorded videos live. And at the end, when it comes out of the last video and comes back to me, I'll say, wow, thank you so much for watching tonight. Hadn't this been fun? God is still working in the Dominican Republic, and he wants to use you to keep changing lives of people there every day. You can give right now, right there, that link right there on the screen. You can give. So I'll be interacting. And then I will have our donor software, because it allows me to do this, which is an important piece of important tool that you need. I will have another screen that you can't see here that'll be to the right, and we'll be able to see the donations popping in. Because to me, if you're going to live stream it, now we'll talk about the technical way to do it in a minute, because I know not everybody can do that. But if you're going to live stream, that's especially for a fundraiser, that's the fun, FUN, for me, the fun part of it. Because as the names come in, I'll be able to say, oh my goodness, Judy, thank you for that $400 gift. Oh my goodness, Mary just gave her $100 gift. Thank you. Guys, we're getting close. Our goal for tonight during the fundraiser, and I would have a goal for the night, and then a goal, what I would call, for the campaign. So I might say, tonight, by the time this is over and all the videos shared and your friends watch it and you share it online, and the rest of our team hears about it. Maybe some of them can't watch right now, but they'll watch tomorrow, or maybe they're putting the kids down to bed, and at midnight tonight, after the kids are asleep, they'll jump back on and watch it, because after it's live streamed, it'll be on the internet. It'll be right there on YouTube. So you could say, after everybody has finally watched it, our ministry need, and I like to use the word ministry need instead of goal personally. I think that is more weighty to people. I have a goal often of losing 5 pounds, and that goal sometimes comes and goes, and my life doesn't get affected at all. So I like to tell the partners that are watching, our ministry need is tonight is, whatever, $20,000. But our ministry need for this whole campaign, our whole effort here in the next couple of weeks, as everybody sees this video, is 100,000 or whatever it is. So that will help you as you're watching the screen, if you do it the way I'm suggesting, if you're capable or able to, I should say, to say thank you to those people. And then people are listening, oh my goodness, they just crossed over 2,000. Oh, they just crossed over 3,000. Almost like the old school. None of you are probably old enough. I'm old and remember this, the old telethons.
Yes.
But it does create excitement and momentum for people. And
So
then
go ahead. I have a couple questions after for you.
Okay. I was just going to say, even though that we do the live part at the end, we still have predetermined a cutoff time. So, okay. For example, all the pre-recorded things that we've added up, and I think it's 38 minutes that we know is already pre-recorded. So we know that's hard and fast. That timeline's not going to change because they're hard videos that are already recorded. So if we get momentum at the end, I will be watching the clock. And when we get to 56 minutes, 57 minutes, 58, 59 minutes, I'll start winding up and saying, hey, we were only going to keep you for an hour tonight. And people are still calling. People are still giving. Keep giving. We'll keep updating Facebook. We'll keep updating the website so that you know. But for tonight, thank you. God bless you. You know, and we'll end because we know people aren't going to sit there and keep on watching
Right, right.
for minutes, hours and hours.
A question, you were talking about donor software, and which donor software were you referring to?
We use, and several of our pregnancy centers do as well, and other nonprofits we serve. We use a donor software called Bloomerang, not boomerang like you throw, but stick an L in there like bloom like a flower, Bloomerang. And it has a dashboard and a report that you can create. So we will set up a specific giving form on the website. And when people fill out that form, it will come in on the screen and say live stream gift with their name and
Okay.
city and dollar amount and those kinds of things.
Okay. And then also, did you ever run into any technical glitch because of the live streaming? Because sometimes what happens is there's too many people on, or there's bad weather, or it has these glitches, and then people are frozen, you
Right,
know.
right. Well,
So,
that's the technical part. So a couple things on the technical part.
okay.
And I'm happy to help you with this. If you need
Okay.
it, just let me know. We can talk about what that would look like. But
Okay, great.
we use, just because we wound up doing so many of these in the spring, we've spent the money to do a lot of things that you're happy to do and spend the money, but you don't need to spend the money unnecessarily
Okay.
since you'll only be doing it one time. So we can kind of carry that expense because, again, we've been doing it across several ministries, nonprofits. But we use a couple of different software. So we use, you're looking at this microphone. I don't have this nice microphone just because I want to be better than you guys. We just have done so many of these. We've invested in some equipment. So that helps on the live part. And then there's two other softwares that we use. One is called Switcher Studio, which will enable you to play at will those pre-recorded video clips that I just mentioned.
Oh,
So I don't have my iPad in here, but it's a monthly subscription that you have to have, and then you load all your stuff in there that you want to play, and you just hit the iPad whenever you want to play it. The other part that has to interface with that iPad is a platform called, and there's several of them out there. There's probably a half a dozen out there, but we use one called Restream, Stream, like a like a fountain stream, Restream, and that's the platform that will allow you to send it to all those destinations simultaneously. So with one click, we're sending out to Facebook and YouTube and website, and you know, we could send to other places. Those are the primary ones that we use. Um,
and
and
one of
then
the things that I think our goal is to be able to collect all the data from people who obviously have watched. And when you're doing it on Instagram or Facebook, you can't collect it unless they donate. So
right,
are you streaming that through the Restream? Are you allowing, giving out that link for Restream, and then somebody has to log in, put their name in, like when they go into a website and it collects their name and their email address, and then it sends out the link?
right. We have not done that. Um, for several reasons. What we have set up now with this Restream software, you can see um, how many people are streaming.
Okay.
So I know the first event that we did that I mentioned to you that we did early in May, we had 300 and some simultaneous streams. So we guesstimated that there probably were, which was a guesstimate, but there probably were a couple of people watching together.
Right.
And sometimes there was a whole family, sometimes it was just one person. But we said, oh, let's average two watching together. We had probably 600 people watching live.
Sure.
Now there also is some software to do when you talked about the internet glitches. That we run all those videos through another software that will compress the
Oh.
videos
Oh.
so that when they're live streaming, you don't get the spinning
Right. Yeah.
wheel and you're waiting. And then when it goes back to me or whoever's live on the camera, there's no issues because it's spacing out how the feed goes when it's live. So there's just a few little technical things. None of it's complicated. Some of it's time consuming, but none of it's, it's not rocket science.
So
Um,
in your help, like you're saying, you do these things or you have these equipments, is that what HeartShare could do if we approached HeartShare and said, could you handle these parts for us? And
sure.
it's
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd
sure.
like to talk to you more about that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a speaker?
We currently have a speaker,
Okay.
and we're still praying about it because it's like we have a lot of content. We wanted to drop a pre-recorded video with maybe a portion of the opening being live, and then
Right.
then the video drops.
Okay.
Or it could go live at the end, like you did with the appeal.
Right. Okay.
And
Okay.
so we're not set in stone yet, but we weren't willing to take the whole program just to go live because there's so many segments.
Yes. Yes.
And so we wanted to, because we're having a videographer put together the content of the story, weaving it through with the services and
Great.
you know, message from the director, board of directors type of thing. We did want to have some funny, humorous things in between, and maybe as a countdown portion of as people are logging on, it's
Yes.
a trivia game about, you know, how many services did they think we did in that
Awesome.
year. And it could also be honoring our corporate partners and also our churches
Great.
that support us. So we want to feature the you know to give them the underwriters. It
Mm-hmm.
gives us
Mm-hmm.
a time to play with that, but also show them who they are in kind of a funny segment.
Good. Good.
So
Okay.
we're looking at a lot of really interesting interactive things, but I think our biggest concern is donor data collection, like who's watching, and is that the most important is that we have all the data of everybody that watches. I don't know, it could just be the donor data that's collected when they hit the donate button.
Right.
That might be enough, but also we just don't want glitches on that night to have technical issues,
Right.
and
Right.
then you lose watchers,
Yes.
you lose
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's why we thought about the pre-recorded. But
Well, we can help you with any variation of that if you want.
okay.
I mean, we even have the setup that if you had someone live that wanted to jump in, then they could even connect like you and I are connected now through Zoom,
Right.
but they don't show up on the screen until
Right.
we
Unless
give
it's
them
their
the
time.
cue. Okay,
Right.
take it.
Mm.
And all the technical stuff could run on our side that you wouldn't have to worry about. That's an option. The other thing on the data part, you could, well, couple of thoughts. The first one is not one I would recommend, but you could have people the night of kind of have a virtual lobby online, and they come into the lobby and they click and put in their name and click submit, and it would send them back the link they need to click on to watch.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not a fan of that for a couple reasons.
Okay.
One, what we have seen when we've done multiple events for organizations is if the organization if the partners of the organization start to realize, wow, they're going to be doing these consistently. I know a lot of churches have experienced this too. A lot of churches, um, I just got an email the other day, who were streaming to Facebook and YouTube. The platform attendance has shifted. So it used to be Facebook and YouTube was down here, and the longer they kept streaming, they switched. And the reason they switched is it's much easier. I think people started figuring out with the YouTube app on your smart TV, you just open the app and click, and then boom, you're watching your church service or the organization on your TV screen at home. And so fewer people are gathered around the computer watching Facebook than what, because YouTube, it looks like you're watching right on television. And you've got better
That's a
sound.
great point.
You got better sound and all that. So what I would suggest that you do, if your banquet is in virtual banquet is in September, then maybe at least between now and September, maybe once in July, once in August, you do some 5-minute little teaser.
Okay.
And start if you don't have a YouTube channel set up, get one set up and start pushing people to subscribe.
Oh,
Send out an email to all your partners and say, hey, we're going to be delivering a lot of content over the next year, the biggest of which is our annual banquet. Go ahead and find because for some people that aren't technologically savvy, it's going to take them a while. If they wait till the night of the banquet to figure out how to connect, forget it. They're they're just going to give up.
right.
So help educate them. If you do a good job educating them, then this could be another way to deliver your message from now on.
Yeah. And
Uh,
we're going to be using a lot of table hosts, which we really want to call them, maybe change that term to watch party hosts, because they will get their own group either by Zoom, or maybe they
yes,
all go out and eat at a meal before and then they come back to watch, or
wonderful.
they're having
Nope.
a dinner in the home and watching. So we
Yep.
kind of want to create different scenarios.
Good.
Maybe
Good.
that it's going to be hosted at a church, a supporting church, and then they all watch it as a church.
Well,
So
that was next on my list. So
yeah,
you're tracking with me. I like the idea of you using the table host or watch party host, virtual host, and saying to them, and you can flesh out how you want to apply it in your area. But I would say to them, why don't you invite those 4 couples you were going to have at your table to your house for hors d'oeuvres and stream it from your house.
yeah,
And that helps with the data part you're asking about, because
yes,
then your table host can tell you, well, they came on, this couple had to back out at the last minute, they couldn't come.
right,
But you still could register people, online through a Google form or something like that a week before, or keep between now and up to a week prior, be registering people. And then those are the people that will get the email a week out, 2 weeks out, whatever your timeline is. Say, hey, our night's coming, 7:00. Here's the way to listen with detailed instructions, that hopefully, again, they've seen in July and August with another 5-minute virtual teaser. Um, uh,
okay.
but even that, um, if you have a YouTube channel, uh, and I think you would agree,
Yeah,
we decided we wanted anybody and everybody to watch that night. So even though we had invited a certain group of people, we didn't want to have those people only be the ones to get into the room, so to speak, to watch. So that's why we went with the YouTube and social media route, and just we still did send out an email blast, and we still did invite people. They didn't RSVP in the way that they could, and I would suggest should, for a banquet situation. But again, you could still do that a couple weeks out.
with the live streaming, when you were talking about commenting as you were having this like goal that was being met, how did you do that? You did that through um uh Restream, where you were able to comment to them?
Well, I just commented verbally, like I'm
Oh,
talking to
verbally,
you.
got it.
So
Got it.
I
Okay.
would see on my donor platform that was on the screen kind of over here to the side, I would see their names pop up and I would say, oh my goodness, Frank, thank you, $100, thank you,
Okay.
Jim, and I would just shout out their names. Um, and
Okay.
then I also had, I had a lot of computers screens that you can't see. Um, but I also had another laptop up with our Facebook and YouTube channels. And now I was primarily watching, but you need a couple of other, I would suggest you have a couple of other people
Mhm.
whose responsibility that night during the banquet are virtual hosts.
Right.
Somebody who's on Facebook who's commenting, going, "Wow, wasn't that a blessing?" Just kind of throwing comments out.
Yes.
Oh, thanks for being here tonight. Wow, look at what God did. They're kind of keeping the conversation because
Yep.
one of the things that's interesting. I don't know if we got to it here. Uh, let's see if I mention this. Um, did I? No, I didn't. Okay. But one of the things that is interesting about the virtual stuff is people tend to multitask while they're
Yes.
watching.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we kind of had a quote unquote kind of a plant, so to speak, one of our people in the Facebook chat and also on YouTube, and they were also there to answer questions. So if
Great.
somebody goes, I'm clicking on the link, but it's not working. Well, you're not clicking
Right.
on the right link. So
Okay.
they were helping answer questions. Now, uh, if you let's see, now we mentioned that. Okay, I want to make sure yep. So
So
I think this could be a wave of the future, personally.
yeah, we think so too. We just don't want to exhaust by September. Our concern is exhausting the virtual audience
Right,
because by September they're going to be so um, inundated with technology out and coming that we just want to make sure that we're keeping the interest level up and
right.
high
Now,
and
remind me what state you're in.
Texas.
Okay, okay. Um, well, you could here's some food for thought. It sounds like you may have already made the decision. Then that's fine as far as 100% virtual. I'm working with a pregnancy center out in Texas in Fort Worth, and their banquet gala I think is the end of October, and they are thinking about being prepared to actually do both. So to have a venue, which they normally would, and to do a survey maybe 6 weeks out that says, hey, now that the virus is wherever it's going to be at that point in time, it may have had a second spike or it may be history. Who knows? But the survey would be, now that the virus is whatever's going on, are you more likely to attend our banquet, less likely, somewhat likely, or not going to happen, or whatever? And they'll compile that feedback. And if there's, 50% they're saying, no, we desperately need an in-person meeting, then she's going to keep moving forward and have that in person. And then also at the same time, for those that can't be streaming something. So just food for thought. Yours is a little bit earlier. I think hers is at the end of October. Um,
Yeah, we're at the end of September. I think what it is because this is so overwhelming. I just am personally speaking for myself, because we're switching from a live to a virtual is so overwhelming with all the technological side of it
yeah.
and the videography and the pre-preparation, to have to think of two tracks at the same time and then dump one.
Mm,
It is
yes.
so like, whoo, I don't want to waste all the energy that really could go into such an impactful program and then concentrate on that. And then next year, when we really know how the culture is, then we can shift. And because this is the year of change for everybody, we figure we don't have really much to lose with when everybody else is kind of changing at that
Right.
same pace.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about where we are. But I appreciate your time. I don't want to take more of it. But I got your email address from the screen there. And I do want to reach out to you about the whole technological elements and then just even see where you're at, Jack, with, I don't know, speaking or promoting or what have you,
Sure.
for our banquet. I don't know yet,
Okay.
but
Okay. Well,
really
happy to
appreciate.
help. Yeah, happy to help however I can. And if you have the speaker that you're using, we can obviously um, take the video that they do, or if they want to go live at the end and segue into
Yeah,
the appeal, we
yeah,
can figure that out. What might be helpful, if you get a minute, is, and it sounds like you've already started thinking through it. If you wanted to just send to me, my email's right there on the bottom of that graphic.
yep,
Just kind of the flow
yep.
of the night,
Mhm.
opener. We want a 2-minute prayer here. We got a client video. It's going to be 3 minutes,
Okay,
and that'll help us think through. Okay, what's the technical side of things that we'll need
great.
to pull
Okay.
it off? But that's awesome. That's
And
awesome.
I am also interested in your other programs. I took them from another webinar that you did
Yeah. Okay.
earlier
Great.
and put them in my kind of file and back pocket about the pastors. Um,
Yes. Our
we
honor
have
event.
we have a men's mentoring program here, and so we want to be able, and a lot of the men and gathering them from churches, we want to be able to look at that, and then your
Mm,
other evaluation of the ministry part is really
yes.
interesting too, to have somebody else take like a gauge on where we're at and how
Sure.
we move forward too. So really good
Okay.
programs for us. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you. What Remind me what part of Texas you're in?
We're just outside. We're in the hill country, so we're just outside of San Antonio. We're in
Okay.
Bernie, Texas.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Mhm.
Sure. I have some friends that are in. Oh my goodness, what's the little community outside San Antonio? Oh,
There's Fair Oaks, Comfort, Leon's Springs. It's all over.
uh, yeah, it's near Fair Oaks, I think.
Okay.
But I will be out, and I'll send you these dates.
Oh, good.
I'll be out in that area. Let's see how far it is.
Yeah.
Texas. New Braunfels actually is where they're from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Not far.
Braunfels. So I'll be out to see him, and then I'll be in Beaumont in August and in November. So I mean, that's what, 3 hours from you, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, but
When
close
is New
enough that
Braunfels, Jack?
I've got to see when he wants me to come out. He's been a friend I've known for a long, long time,
Okay.
and he keeps saying, "Come see us, come see us." So
Okay.
it
Can
it
you send
probably,
can you send us that link for the Sunday live?
yeah, sure.
I
Let me
think
make
maybe some of us,
sure.
if we're free, we want to watch it just to see how it
Okay.
goes and flows.
Give me your. I know I've got it, but I'll put it in right now while we're talking. What's your email?
So it's Lulu, Lulu.
Yep, there we go. Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, I will
You
send
got
that
me
to
there
you
now?
when we hang up. Yeah, and a 3 hour drive for me is, unfortunately, it's kind of like driving across the street. I travel so much, so
Yeah, no,
but
that's okay.
I'll be in Beaumont on the 25th, actually, for an honor event. And
Oh, okay.
so, I'll send you those dates if it worked out to come
Okay.
over and see you on that Monday or Wednesday. And
Yep.
then I'll be back to do her banquet in November, early November. So,
Okay.
um,
Yeah. Or see
um,
about meeting halfway or something would be great.
yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Well, good to see you guys today. Thanks for taking a
You.
little bit of time,
Thanks.
and you all are a